Hello, my name is Jennifer Wilson and I'm with the Gulfport School District, and today we are talking about Standard RI 4.3 Scientific Text. Okay, so we're still sticking with the genre of informational text, but now we're looking at scientific text. So let's talk about what are scientific texts. Like I said, they're informational texts, but they give us different kind of information as opposed to a historical text. They give us what happened in the order of events. So you may not necessarily see a timeline, but you do see a sequence. But you also see information that gives you the how and why it happened. So we see something like cause and effect, which is typically what you would even see in your science textbooks. Why you do it and how you do it. Okay, so we're going to look at a scientific text. All right, so we see our title is Lights Across the Waves. All right, so you can pause the video right now if you want to read this on your own, but I'm going to read it with you so you can follow along with me. All right, so we're looking for things like the why and the how, and we're also looking at those sequence of events, how things happen in order. All right, on December 26, 2004, at 7:58 a.m., a giant earthquake rumbled under the ocean floor. It sent a monster wave crashing ashore in Indonesia. The monster wave was a tsunami. A tsunami is a wave caused by an earthquake, meteorite, or landslide. It swept over buildings and trees, smashing everything in its path. This tsunami was one of the worst natural disasters in history. It swept away whole villages, and the tsunami took the lives of more than 215,000 people in locations from Indonesia to Thailand to India and beyond. Nearly 200,000 people lost their lives near Banda Aceh. 1 year after the tsunami, people in Banda Aceh held a ceremony to honor those who had lost their lives. The ceremony began with the sounding of a tsunami warning siren. The siren rang out at exactly the moment the tsunami had hit the year before, 8:16 a.m. Similar ceremonies were held in other countries that had suffered great losses. At the ceremonies, many people spoke of the kindness of others. One very special 11-year-old girl, Tilly Smith, spoke at a ceremony in Thailand. About 5,400 people had lost their lives on Thailand's islands as a result of the tsunami. Smith had been visiting Thailand from Britain. She was on the beach when she saw the water draw back from the shore, leaving fish and other sea animals behind. She remembered from her geography classes in school that this was a warning sign for a tsunami. Smith rushed others away from the shore. It is said that she saved at least 100 people that day. Smith said it was not destruction that won the day, but generosity and love. Many people in Thailand sent lanterns out across the water, or across the waves, to honor those who did not survive the tsunami. The lights fanned out across the waves as onlookers watched. All right, so after finishing our text, we see the sequence, and we also see the why and the how. So now let's figure out how we can answer those questions. All right, so let's look at question number 1. What happened just before the tsunami struck Thailand in 2004? Okay, so we're looking at clues from the text or evidence from the text to help us answer this question. So let's look at our options first. Okay, so an alarm sounded, tourists went home, the water drew away from the beach, fish swam quickly through the waves to the shore. Okay, now we see some of those that automatically were not in the text. And look at D. D was not even anywhere in the text. So we can go ahead and eliminate that because sometimes they just like to find something that we can easily eliminate. All right, so we have an alarm sounded, tourists went home, and the water drew away from the beach. All right, so what I have to do is I have to go back to my text and see what happened just before the tsunami hit. Now, I'm looking at paragraph 4. And I see that it goes back to where Smith was on the beach and she saw the water draw back from the shore, leaving sea animals and the fish behind. And she remembered that that was a warning sign. And then we see that the tsunami, the earthquake happened at 7:58, and then we see in the text that at 8:16 is when the tsunami hit. So using those clues, we can go and we see that. So that is our answer. The water drew away from the beach. All right, number 2. What event caused the tsunami? Okay, so now we're looking at what happened. What was the cause, or what made the tsunami happen? Okay, so I would need to go back to my first paragraph to see where I can find this. All right, let's look at our options first. Okay, was it overcrowding on the beach, a huge flood, a giant earthquake, a magnificent volcano? Again, use your strategies to eliminate those that you automatically know that are not going to be the correct answer. And in this case, it would be A, overcrowding at the beach. We didn't see anything about the beach being overcrowded. But when I go back to paragraph 1, I see a definition for what a tsunami is. And you see that a lot in scientific text. I see that a tsunami is a wave caused by an earthquake, meteorite, or landslide. So when I'm looking at my options, I know that it would not be a flood, and it would not be a volcano, that it would be an earthquake. So I found that in the text, and I highlighted that so you can see it. All right, number 3. When did the tsunami hit Banda Aceh? Okay, so I want to back up for a minute because how I learned how to say that is I went to the text, and you see in an informational text, it also gives you information on maybe how to pronounce a word. If you don't know how to say it, it gives you the pronunciation. So that's what I did when I saw that town or city name. All right, so number 3, when did the tsunami hit Banda Aceh? Okay, did it hit at 7:58 in the morning, 8:16 in the morning, almost 8 o'clock at night, almost 9 o'clock at night? All right, now I saw 2 different times in my article. So I can eliminate the 2 that do not match in my answers. And that would be almost at 8 at night and almost at 9 at night. So I would eliminate those. But I need to figure out when it hit that particular city of Banda Aceh. Now where I would find that is paragraph 3, where I see it mentioning that city. Okay, so it says, I'm going to highlight it, that the siren rang out at exactly the moment the tsunami had hit the year before, which was 8:16 a.m. So that is my answer. Okay, now let's look at number 4. Which words best describe Tilly Smith just before the tsunami hit? Okay, so we're looking at some traits of this particular person that happen to be mentioned in our text. Okay, was she weary and sad, puzzled and shy, strong and brave, silly and witty? All right, so they're talking about Tilly Smith in paragraph 4. We see them talk about, why she was there and also what she saw and what she did. And it talked about how she alerted people to move away from the beach because she remembered what she had learned in class about tsunamis. So would I say that she was weary and sad? No, she wasn't really sad. Was she puzzled and shy? I don't think she was really more puzzled and shy because she was pretty up front with the people saying, hey, we need to get away from this area. So she wasn't necessarily shy. Okay, was she silly and witty? It didn't say anything about her making jokes, but I would say that she is strong and brave because she alerted those people to get away from the beach, to get out of harm's way as the tsunami was getting ready to hit. All right, so now I have number 5. Why did people send the lanterns across the waves? All right, so that's our first question. All right, so now I have to go back to the text to figure out why they did this. Okay, so I see that in paragraph 5 where it says many people in Thailand sent lanterns across the waves to honor those who did not survive the tsunami. Okay, so I see that straight from the text. So when I'm writing my response, all I would have to do is answer that question in a complete sentence. They sent lanterns across the waves to honor those who did not survive the tsunami. Now look at our second part. Do you think this was a good idea? Explain. Sometimes in scientific texts, they are going to ask this question, is this a good idea or a bad idea? But when they say explain, you have to use the text to explain your answer. And I said the lanterns on the water is a creative way to remind those who did survive how powerful the water really is. So those that were living, because obviously the ones who didn't make it, they wouldn't see it, but the ones who did make it, they could see the lanterns and they could see how powerful that water really is. And it's a great reminder for those who did not make it. All right, so what we have done today is we have looked at a scientific text. We broke it down by looking at how the events were put in order. We saw that in our text. And we also saw the how and the why this happened. In this particular story, we were talking about a tsunami hitting in Indonesia, and we saw what caused it and what happened during the events and how they were able to commemorate those who had passed away from it. And we also looked at how to answer questions and writing a response to our story. So thank you for joining us today, and hopefully you enjoy our text. Thanks.